Do you sometimes have people at work not understand you? Where they're giving you looks like, I can see your lips moving, but I'm not picking up what you're putting down. Or they're nodding their head, but they still go away and they don't get the results that you want. I know that this can be very frustrating for a leader. And one thing that we may not know is it's frustrating for them as well. So this week, I want to talk about how we can get rid of all that confusion. Hi, this is Grant Herbert, leadership and sustainable performance coach. And today I want to continue our conversation around having great relationships with our people in our team by helping you to become a masterful communicator. Last week we talked about the 4 pillars of great teamwork and building great relationships, which are a vital component of your success as a leader. AI is great, but our human-to-human relationships are key. We talked about being able to collaborate and to handle change and to look at the way we navigate conflict. And a key element of that was that 4th pillar, which was communication. So this week, I want to go deeper into this area because I find that it is a common denominator in challenge within all of the other 3 as well. So what do I mean by a masterful communicator? What I'm not talking about is getting up on stages and, being an orator and all those sort of things. It's great if we get there. I'm talking about masterful in being able to communicate with others individually or collectively in our team, no matter what the size of our organization. It's about being able to do it in a way that is confident and received well. It's about taking away those bad habits like I had of thinking that communication had actually taken place because I said something. It's about being able to set things up in your favor so that there is less confusion and everybody knows with clarity where we're going together. Great communication is a key element in being able to lessen the conflict and stress that you, your team, and your organization are going through. So let's look at 3 key areas that are going to help you to become a masterful communicator. So before we get onto those 3 areas, I want to remind you that the foundation of all this for you is your identity. It's what we started with when we looked at your personal leadership, because how you feel about yourself will determine how you communicate with others. So with that as the foundation, the 3 areas will help you to have the right skill set to be able to masterfully communicate with anybody in your team. The first area is becoming an active listener. Listening is a key component of communication. In fact, the definition of communication says to listen actively and openly, and then to send concise, clear, credible messages. So it starts with listening. My understanding was definitely before I learned that communication starts with me saying stuff. No, listening enables you to understand what to say and how to say it depending on who your audience is. So learning to be able to actively listen, where you're engaged and you want to know what it is that's coming back. Being able to read individuals and be able to understand not just what's being said, but what's not being said. That's the key to being a listener that becomes a masterful communicator. The second area is to understand the process. Communication is something that a lot of times people think's happened, but it hasn't. Cool Hand Luke said, what we have here is a failure to communicate. And sometimes we think it's happened because of what we get back. But human beings being human beings and all having their own style and their own identity, beliefs, and the things we've talked about, they sometimes can give you the wrong impression. So let's have a look at the communication process, and you'll understand why sometimes when it's not done well, there is confusion. So communication has a sender and a receiver. Now, for the purpose of this, we'll just talk about one person, and we'll talk about that then extrapolating out over having more than one person that we're communicating with. But focus on that one person. We've got a sender and we've got a receiver. So what happens is the sender encodes what they think it is that they want to communicate. That's the first thing. And they do that through their own lens, through their own style of communication. They then send that message out, and that message can go out in various medium. It can be speaking, it can be an email, a text, it can be a carrier pigeon, smoke signals, whatever it is, but it gets sent out. It then goes through a lot of noise, the noise of the day, the noise of what else that they're doing at the time, the noise of their own uncertainties and lack of self-belief, whatever it is. In marketing, it's called marketing noise. It's like getting your message out into the marketplace in amongst everybody else's advertising as well. That isn't just for marketing. That happens day to day in your communication with people in your team. Then it gets to the receiver. Now, what the receiver does is they decode what they think you communicated to them. Then, based on the filters that they use, they come up with an idea of what it is. Now, that could be something that pushes a button on them, or it could be something that brings up a belief, or they interpret it a certain way, which then means now when they respond, you may not get the response that you want. So now the receiver becomes the sender, and they encode what they're going to send back to you through whatever medium it was that you were using, or they might choose another one, back through the noise of what you've got going on, and then you now become the receiver. And you know what happens then. You then decode what you think they said, and the pattern goes on and on and on. No wonder there is a problem with the communication, and there's plenty of opportunity for there be confusion in what's been said and what hasn't been said. So this is why active listening is vitally important. So understanding that firstly, the medium which you send your messages may not always be the right one for the other person. I see in the corporate world way too many emails. People just think, oh, that's easy. I'll just type up an email and send it. But you're sending it into an inbox, and an inbox is just a to-do list that other people keep adding things into. And for a lot of people I work with, it never seems to get empty. So they get missed. So sometimes picking up the phone could work differently. So that is the second area. And the third area, which I perhaps could have started with, but I wanted to finish with so that you understand it and it's what you go away with, is celebrating differences in the way that people communicate. What I mean by that is, for example, I'm a very visual person. If you want me to understand something, I want you to paint me a picture rather than give me heaps of words and death by PowerPoint and dot points. And I want you to just paint me a picture and tell me a story and I'll understand it. However, you could be listening to that and going, oh, there's nothing worse. I want all the dot points and I want all the text and I want you to explain it. For me to understand what you need, there's certain things that I do. I actively listen. I look at things that you send me and I look at the wording that you use. And in this short video, I don't have enough space to go through all of this, but I look at the attributes of what the people are showing me. Is it someone who needs a high level of certainty? Or is it someone that's very confident in their own ability? Is it someone that is very much a decision maker with just some boxes ticked? Is it someone who needs connection and is more kinesthetic and they feel things? Or is it someone who operates more out of facts? And I make sure that over a period of time I get to understand. And if I don't understand, here's what I do. I ask. And if I use the example I used on me, I would say to you, so tell me, would you rather that I give you a heap of words and tell you about this, or will I draw you a picture? So understanding the individual that you are communicating with will help you to eliminate the challenge of sending something that they then decode differently to what you were sending. Communicating in the way that they need to be communicated to, giving them what they need so that in turn you get what you want, is the key to being a masterful communicator. Being able to not just do that in individuals, but do that when you're working in a group. What that means sometimes is I need to understand the collective of the room. And I need to sometimes communicate in all ways if I've got people that are different. And that's in a group communication. And I know that I need to, with some people, follow that up with a little bit of communication on the side done with a different medium so that they've got the certainty. I need to actively listen. I need to reflect. And I need to ask them, is this what you meant when you said that, by giving them my understanding? I need to give them the opportunity to reflect back to me what it is. All these things help you as a communicator, as a leader, to be able to eliminate that confusion, or at least lessen the confusion, so that you can move forward and work together to collaborate with healthy conflict and make the changes that you need within your team and within your organization. Masterful communication as a leader is vital in being able to create an environment for a team to work together and to have great relationships. Well, that's it from me for another week. Join me again next week as we continue this conversation around building great relationships by helping you to leverage conflict for great teamwork. I'll see you then.